So were they fighting with each other, or is it the
Yeah.
leash reactivity that you're trying to also
No,
address?
the fights at home.
Okay.
Because the leash reactivity, I can deal with it. I can either avoid other dogs or, sometimes if they're pacified, they don't react as much. Like they were sort of paying attention to that dog.
Yeah.
But I kind of controlled them. They didn't even bark.
Okay.
So that's not the big deal. The deal is fights at home.
Okay.
So
what are the fights over?
everything: space, food, water, me, attention, love, going through doors, who goes first. So let me backtrack and give you a little history. So they're 15 and a half years old. Rescues from paws, they were 2.5 when I got them. 13 years, they've always been the closest. We think they're possibly siblings. Sleep in the same bed. When I first got them, they had high separation anxiety. Once they got comfortable at home, that separation anxiety is not so much. And
Okay.
but they're very, very comfortable with each other, lay on top of each other, don't care about personal space. Now, in the last year and a half, some fights started. So I think the first ones may have been at home over toys. So Peanut has, this is Peanut, this is Butter. Peanut has always been the dominant one.
Okay.
Very self-assertive, comfortable. She's kind of the insecure one, Beta. Okay. Both were fine with their roles all this time. I think there's been some sort of insecurity in her trying to reverse roles and be alpha over Peanut.
Okay.
So they started like growling at each other over toys, and she has high prey drive. She's a real terrier, so she cares about toys a lot. If they have a squeaky thing, she wants to get that heart out and kill it.
Okay. Sure.
Butter is not a toy dog.
Sure.
You give her a toy, she may like bite at it for 5 minutes and she's done. But then at some point they started fighting over toys. I'm like, what is this about? Well, month later, so that wasn't like, it didn't get to a fight. It was more like growling and mohawk, like they call it mohawk, the hair raised in the back. So I got rid of the toys. I said, okay, only toys if I have one dog alone or they're closely supervised. They go to daycare, and one day the caregiver there calls me and she says, come get your dog. One of them is bleeding. They got in a fight. I'm like, okay, how bad is it? She says, it's not a big thing, but it's like something over the eyebrow, and she still has like a little scar in her eyebrow.
Okay.
The caregiver gave him a bully stick.
Oh, sure.
And they got in a fight over it. So but
they
it
still
was
got their teeth, huh?
Yes. So they got the ones that matter. That's what my vet says. Okay. Because I asked my vet, and I said, should I be worried? Like you've taken a bunch of teeth out, and she said, well, the ones that matter are still there. Okay. So yeah, so in that case, it was Butter the aggressor. Peanut had the bully stick. Butter beat her. Okay. Then I knew, like in general, in the current daycare, they don't have any structure. They don't have regulations. The lady is a sweet lady, but she doesn't have the presence of an alpha over the dogs. You approach, ring the doorbell, all the dogs bark, she's screaming at them.
Oh, so it's like a home setting kind of
It's a home setting, yes, it's a home setting. So that was fine until, the fight started. So at that point, it was just in the daycare, and then she took, preventative measures, and that was like 18 months ago. Maybe it happened like one more 6 months later, but nobody got hurt. Then in the last 3 months, we moved. So there's been like a change of environment and all of that. The fights started at home. I see. And I mean, they are real fights. 2 feet up, getting at each other. There, it always happens, thankfully, when I'm there. So I know I'm a factor to some extent because I can leave them loose in the home. I have a camera. I can go to take the trash out. I can go to the coffee shop in the corner. The dogs are relaxed. At that point, they're friends because they're like, where is mom? So we're helping each other find mom.
Yeah, they get comfortable.
Yeah. But if I'm around, then it's like, this bed is mine. I want to be close to her. If I'm touching her, she doesn't want this one around.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So there's been scratches, nothing like, there's been some blood. Like one time I separated them and I think her paw at the bottom was bleeding a little bit. There was a scratch on an eyebrow. So it's always Butter who starts the fight. When they start the fight, I watched your videos. I'm a follower of Cesar Milan.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that. So I try to keep calm, but I cannot. Like it scares me. So if they start fighting, I scream, I tell them stop, and then I go physically separate them. I've tried with the collars. So they went through the Sit Means Sit program many years ago. So they know the collar. I've tried to stop the fights with the collar. I go all the way to 7.
On high or low or?
Well, they're on low.
Okay.
They're on low. This has like only 2 levels.
Okay.
And they're both on low. So no, and the problem is like she may feel it. Like normally I hit the button with her. She may pull back, but then she's wound up, and then she goes. Yeah. So I just physically separate them.
Okay.
I've gotten scratch and stuff, but nothing bad. They don't try to bite me. I don't know if I got lucky so far or they just respect me. Yeah, they haven't bit me. Usually at home, I have the collars, or at least this is supposedly something that had some scent that relaxed them, but it doesn't really work. But I keep it on her because that gives me a way to grab her. And then if I separate her, I don't go into another room. I try to keep them in the same area.
Good.
Peanut gets calm pretty quick.
Okay.
Once I remove them, but she starts like circling around. She's spacing and anxious. And I'm keeping this dog, like normally I either make her sit or make her lay down, like Cesar Milan style, like the hand here, the face down, until she relaxes. Like the first phase is like she's on her side, but the pause, you can see like the tension in her body. And then I wait until she completely relaxes, and then I let her go. Okay. And once I do that, they're back to friends, they're back to the same bed, no problem.
Until it happens again.
Yeah. So now it started escalating in frequency, and I think I started getting anxious and anticipating the fight. And the more I anticipated it, the more they fought. There was like one day, I think over Memorial Day weekend, they had like 6 fights.
Wow,
but like,
that's a lot.
Yeah,
wow.
Same day, and all of them were like getting at each other.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, we gotta go back to bounds and rules and a lot of discipline. So I started creating new rules in this new place. If we're going out the door, both sit. If we're coming in, they both sit. When I'm preparing food, nobody's in the kitchen. They sit the kitchen is open, but there's like a dividing line by the refrigerator. They sit there. So I started and I also try to anticipate the things I saw they were fighting for. So if they were fighting for a water bowl, we'd come from a walk, I let one dog off the leash, let it go to that bowl, then I take this dog on leash, take it to another bowl. So I'm also anticipating things and trying to so I think between the discipline and now they're not getting up on my couch. Normally they're not allowed on furniture on their own. But if I'm sitting on the furniture, I would invite them. Now I'm not even inviting them on furniture because I'm like, no, I can't be. So there's not much, petting and baby talk or nothing like that. We're walking more. I think also when it started escalating, Butter had been sick. She got a bad stomach bug and she lost a lot of weight. So she was sick for like 3 weeks. And then she lost weight. So I was not walking them as much because I didn't want her to burn so many calories. And when the fight started, I'm like, okay, I'll feed them more, but we need to walk.
Yeah.
So I think between walking, doing more strict rules at home and less baby talk, less petting on my lap and all of that, that has helped. But they still fight. This weekend has been great. No fights yesterday or today. There's been growls in the bed. So I think the highest risk possibility is they each have a bed. When they're friends and they're tired, they want to sleep in the same bed. But when they're awake and alert, then Butter is sitting in one bed. Peanut may be approaching this other bed. I don't know what's happening in their own body language, but Butter starts seeing Peanut approach and she starts growling. Like, don't you dare get in my bed. But then sometimes Peanut gets in the other bed next to her and she continues to growl. And there's growling.
How close are the beds?
Next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, next to each other.
Proximity thing. Yeah.
And then if I'm in the kitchen and I hear growling, I have to go. Like, I used to say no, stop, but I think at a distance, and if I yell, it just like makes their mind go up. So I just go get in between them and I just tell Butter no. And I do this or I do shh, and she calms down. I make her like, usually I touch her on the other way away from the dog and she looks around and then like she distracts and it stops there. So this weekend I've been successful, but it's like constant. Like, to me it's exhausting because I'm watching them constantly. One more place where they gotten in fights is in the car, in the back of the car. So I have a seat cover and they usually ride in the back, very friendly. They got in a couple of fights there. Okay. So a few times, if I know that there is tension, one dog rides in the front with me, the other one in the back. Yep. Today, I felt their energy. They're very relaxed, so they rode here in the back, and there were no fights. I see. Usually, when I leave home, I leave them crated. And I put them in the same crate because of their separation anxiety in the past. They have been crying, whining if they're in separate crates. So when the fight started, Butter would get in the crate first and growl at Peanut and not let her in. So those times I would close the crate, let Butter alone in the crate, put Peanut loose in a bed outside of the crate, put it in my bedroom, close the door, leave him there. In the last week, I figured out that if I let Peanut in the crate first, then Butter doesn't protest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I've been doing that, and they've been peaceful. I keep a close eye on the camera on them, and yeah, they just go to sleep. Okay. I tried one day letting both loose, but so if I let them loose in the whole apartment, they're like constantly pacing, barking, they don't settle. Yep. If I let them loose in my bedroom, smaller setting, they don't bark, but they don't sleep. They like jump on my bed, get back down. Yeah. I put a little pad and they go pee a couple of times. So they're not relaxed. Yeah. When I put them in the crate, they go to sleep. Like sometimes I open the door, I get home and they don't even realize I'm home. Yeah. So, I've been wrestling. Well, may need to get another crate to separate them, but so far I've been getting around with Peanut goes first, then
Sure.
Butter doesn't protest, and then
Yeah.
their minds, when I'm not around, they like each other.
Yeah.
So that's the story.
Okay. So you know what the answer is, right?
No.
Just take yourself out the equation. Give the dogs to somebody else.
Exactly. That's not easy though.
So, a lot of good information.
Good.
You figured out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you put in what you said, if you put in peanut first and
Yeah.
then butter.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason that is
Yeah.
you have the kennel, butter goes in first. Right?
Yeah.
When peanut enters,
Yeah.
they're both females.
Yes.
She's gonna be protective because she feels
Yeah.
like it's hers.
Yeah.
And it sounds stupid, but if you do what you do and you put peanut in first,
Yeah.
butter has nothing to be territorial over
Mm-hmm.
because she's outside the kennel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, let's say you're on the couch and you're petting butter
Yeah.
and peanut comes,
Yeah.
growls.
Yes.
If you were to call peanut first
Yeah.
and then butter,
Mhm.
it's like the same thing. There's
Yeah.
chances that you're not going to see the tension
Yeah.
because butter is being territorial over you.
Yeah.
But if you flip it and you do peanut
Yeah.
first and then butter,
Yeah.
you can avoid the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes everything you said to me makes total sense.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, you're correct. Your dogs are anxious when they're home alone.
Mhm.
Anxiety wants to move.
Mhm.
It paces
I
like
see.
humans pace.
Yeah.
They chew on their nails.
Yeah.
They fidget, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety wants to move.
Okay.
So when you said if I get them the whole home, it's the worst.
Yes.
Too much space to move.
Too much.
You go into your room, you can see that they're more relaxed, but
Yeah.
still uneasy because they go
Yeah.
on the couch, they go on the bed, they go
Yeah.
on their bed, they
Yeah.
jump on the floor.
Yeah.
It's constantly moving.
Yes.
And then when you go in the kennel where there's no space, they're able to just
Yeah.
relax.
Exactly.
Okay? All that stuff makes sense to me.
Okay.
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 So this here
Sit.
is technically easy. Do you know what makes it difficult?
That is 2 dogs.
A little bit. What else?
They're older and attached to me. No,
They're small.
they're small.
They're small.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes it hard.
Yeah.
The reason why I say it makes it harder is because I'm a huge fan of Cesar Milan.
Yeah.
That's how I started my career
Yeah.
many, many years ago.
Good.
That's how I run my kennel. I use Cesar Milan methodology.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
nothing that I invented.
That's how I found you.
It's nothing that I invented. I know Cesar Milan methodology,
Sit.
and because of that, I'm able to run a quiet kennel. Okay.
Mhm.
So I can help you with the 2 dogs. The issue with the Cesar Milan methodology is that it's physical.
Yeah.
You have to correct the dogs.
Yeah.
And your guys are 15 and a half, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're small,
They're
right?
less than 12 pounds.
Yes. Those 2 things are what makes that methodology
Yeah.
a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Now, technically, can it be used? Yes.
Yes.
The issue is you love your dogs. You care for your dogs.
Yeah.
You don't want to harm your dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dogs don't care about that.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
like, I've literally come into homes where one dog killed the other dog.
Mm.
Okay? Where there was constant tension.
Yeah.
It went unresolved. And then one day the dog goes, I'm taking you out.
Mm.
They don't care
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like the human cares.
Yeah.
Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult because dogs, no matter the age or the size, will go to the extent needed
Yeah.
to address the problem,
Yeah.
right? And we're not going to do that,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, to a degree, the dogs are aware of that.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be answers, and we can technically still do a little bit of Cesar Milan stuff because
Yeah.
that's the first thing I'm looking at here. I'm like,
Yeah.
with these guys' age and stuff, like you don't always have the collars on them. Like at some
Right.
point, it's going to be off.
Right.
So you have to understand how to stop the fight correctly.
Yeah.
And you've done a good job when you said like I don't separate them, I keep them in the same space. Like that's all good.
Yes.
Okay. The problem is, you've not got them to fully disengage and decide to stop fighting.
Right.
I think it was Peanut that you said they'll let it go,
Yes.
but technically not because you said Peanut will start to pace.
She paces
Yes.
around.
So that would still need to be corrected
Mhm.
because she's still holding on to something.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
right?
I've been trying to send her, like if Butter is still growling, I'm holding Butter, Peanut is pacing, I try to send Peanut to the bed. She knows the command bed, and I say bed.
Mhm.
So it works, but if she, like, I feel like if I'm trying to control her, she's not paying much attention to me.
Mhm.
So she may go to bed and stay in bed for a minute and then start pacing again. So like, yeah, I don't have the, I don't know, the control of the situation when it's both dogs. Like if I had somebody else in the home that also knows dog psychology, it'd be great. Like you control this dog, I control this dog. Me alone, it's difficult. Like
Yes.
I focus on the most aggressive one
That's correct.
and I let this one pace.
So what you would do is after you correct the more aggressive one, then go and do the other one.
Okay.
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 Like you still have to address them. It doesn't matter that it's not right away.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Because eventually the dog should learn at some point she's gonna come for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is once the dog understands you're gonna address both of them.
Yeah.
The moment you address the first one, the other one will just follow.
Okay.
They'll just stop because they know, like, I know after you're done there,
Okay.
I'm next.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I used to have at one point up to 5 dogs.
Okay.
Okay, I had 5 dogs, and
Wow.
it, you know, it's like it's a patch.
Yeah.
So you have to understand how to have multiple dogs, because, like right now, my wife, her dog, in my pit, Lexi, they don't like each other.
I read
Okay.
in your
Yeah.
channel that
They don't like each other.
they don't
They
like.
tolerate each other.
Yeah.
Okay, they coexist with each other.
Yeah.
And you'll see things where they'll look like friends,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but they still don't like each other.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But because I've asserted myself or whatever,
Yeah.
they know to keep themselves
Yeah.
in check.
Yeah.
Because I will address it myself.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this, like, this is easy technically speaking.
Yeah.
It's just difficult because they're under 12 pounds
Yeah.
and they're 15 and a half years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're good with people.
They're good with people. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna check one thing here.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Cool. Yeah, she's a little more apprehensive because she's an insecure one.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you said your collars have 2 settings.
Yes.
Was it low and high?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you can use remote collar here.
Okay.
I don't like the sit mean sit system.
Okay.
It's so the ones that I use have 127 settings.
Oh wow.
Okay. Think of high 7.
Yeah.
Because there's 7 levels.
Yeah.
Think
7.
of high 7 as 127.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
It's just streamlined. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to
Wow.
127. So you're not having to worry about switching modes.
Yeah.
Because I think they also have a model that's low, medium, high.
Yes.
Right. So then if you're in the middle of a situation and you need to, now you have to take your time.
Oh, you have to turn it off and
Yes.
back on, and yeah,
So
yeah.
whereas this, if I need to go 15 to 100,
I see.
I just do that like that. So
Okay.
it's more streamlined.
I
okay?
see. Yeah.
There's also it's a stronger output.
Uh huh.
Okay? Output simply means you get more from less.
Yes.
So you saw the dog I was working with, the
Yeah.
Roddy, right?
Yeah.
So she's on a high-powered collar.
Sure.
So she's a Roddy, right?
Yeah.
And there's different models.
Okay.
There's one for dogs that are over 70 pounds. One
Okay.
for dogs that are between 35 and 70 pounds.
Okay.
One for dogs under 35 pounds, and then one for dogs under 15 pounds.
Okay.
They all have different outputs.
Okay.
Okay. So the baby collar, 80 on that collar could be like 30 on the
Yeah.
big dog collar.
Okay.
So that's the only
Yeah.
difference.
Okay.
So I would suggest you upgrade your collar because
Sure.
then you're not having to worry about I'm at 7
Yeah.
and they're fighting and I
And
don't
they're
have
not-
time
yeah.
to turn this off and
Yeah.
turn it back on
Yeah.
or whatever you have to
Yeah.
do. Right.
Exactly.
It'll make that a lot easier.
Okay.
And I've not touched Cesar Milan, taught Cesar Milan methodology in a long time
Okay.
because it's difficult for people to understand.
Yeah.
But in your case, it is going to be necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be one of the easiest approaches to trying to address this.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good information,
Yeah.
but now it's just like using it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've come into homes. I can usually tell when people have studied Cesar Milan because of the sound.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'll see them doing it.
Yeah.
And I go, I know what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
but you're doing it completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they see it on the TV and then they try to do it themselves.
Yeah.
But they're not doing it correctly. So then I'm like, technically, this is how you would have to do it.
Because they don't have the right energy, or.
Usually people don't see the physical touch,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
bite.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
The bite.
They
Yeah.
don't see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just see.
Yeah.
So I'll see them go
Yeah.
like this to the dog, And I'm like, you're doing nothing if you're not doing anything here.
Ah.
Right?
Okay.
So if a dog growls and then bites,
Yeah.
now the dog is, you've learned if I hear the dog growling, it will bite me.
Yeah.
So I better back off.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So if I'm just going, but there's no physical involved, the dog goes, it means nothing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So here I saw you doing a couple of hisses and you're like kind of popping them on the leash.
Yeah.
In this situation, I go, that looks appropriate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In this situation when there's a big fight,
Yeah.
it's going to need more intensity.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like I have a Chihuahua of my own. He's a Papillon Chihuahua mix. He's a long-haired Chihuahua.
Okay.
He's 8 pounds. When I first got him, because he's 14, 15 now. When I first got him,
Oh, wow.
I was learning Cesar Milan.
Yeah.
Okay. And he would be with leash reactive. He'd see a dog,
Yeah.
he'd start going, right? And I had him on the prong collar because they make them for little dogs. And I would have to correct him so harshly. He would spin, and then he'd do it again.
Go back.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'd have to do it 3 times. And on the 3rd time, he'd finally sit there and he would stop, right? And then he'd be growling.
Yeah.
And people would be like, what are you doing, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not like it hurts him because he's doing it anyway. Like he's still going,
he
right?
keeps going. Yeah.
So then when I did e-collar, it fixed all the problems or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to be physical with the dog anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But at the time, he was like a year, maybe a year and a half. He was a young dog, right?
Yeah.
But I look at that now, if he, at 15 years old, like I'm not going to correct him that harshly because
Right.
I could cause physical harm there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where e-collar comes into play
I
because
see.
it's just the muscle contraction.
Uh-huh.
So you're on the right track.
Okay.
It's just, it's not enough output.
Yeah.
Because I think you mentioned like I've remoted them at 7
Yeah.
and they still keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the intensity of the fight is overriding the intensity of the
Yeah.
collar.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
It's not the first time that I've seen that. It actually happened to me this morning with a dog that was 20, 25 pounds because I put it on the small collar.
Yeah.
The dog went crazy
Yeah.
and then wasn't responding to anything. And I was like, all right, this dog's going to need a
Yeah.
bigger collar. Okay?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Okay.
So, obviously the main concerns are the fighting in the home,
Yes.
right?
And the daycare situation, because
Okay.
like I'm afraid that the lady that's taking care of them, she doesn't have control of the situation. So every time I leave him at daycare, my heart is anxious,
Is something gonna
thinking,
happen?
yeah, I'm gonna get a call, somebody's gonna be bleeding because she doesn't have any control. So
Sure.
I'm ready to switch it if you accept them in your place because I know that they'll be safer in a structured environment.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think in general they do very well. So they do well with dogs when they're part of a pack and they're off leash. They do well.
Do they care about size at all?
Yeah, Peanut because she wants to be alpha. She the bigger dogs she goes after them.
Okay.
But usually like the big dogs are like, what? What are you gonna do to me?
Care.
So she gives up. But there's been no fights from them to other dogs.
Okay.
And if they have a structured environment, like I had another trainer that was, after the sit-min sit, there was another guy who wasn't quite Cesar Milan, but he was like he would discipline the dogs. The dogs were very relaxed. So I know that if they have structure, they'll do well.
Yeah.
And I think, as time passes with that structure around them, their minds will calm down.
I see.
Yeah.
So, like have them being in daycare is no problem.
Yeah. Okay.
What's nice about it is that we keep it consistent,
Sure.
right? So like if they were doing something, like let's say we did start to see them growling at each other, right?
Yeah.
We would correct it.
Yeah.
Much like I would show you to correct it, which
Sure.
keeps everything on the same page.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I opened up my daycare back in 2019 because a lot of clients, I specialize in stuff like this.
Yeah.
Their dogs couldn't go anywhere. They either got kicked out of their daycares or they couldn't go anywhere because they were just, nobody knew how to handle them.
Yeah.
So then I opened up my space to give
Yeah.
those clients a
Yeah.
place to bring their dogs.
Okay.
The dogs never fail us. It's
Yeah.
the owners that fail us.
Yeah.
Because we get some owners that are like, well, I don't want you to correct my dog. And I go, that's perfectly fine. It's your dog.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have them here if we can't correct them.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now I can't keep my structure.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So the only time we've ever had to remove dogs was because the owner
Yeah.
was being the problem.
I see.
And I go, sure,
Yeah.
your dog doesn't need us.
Yeah.
Right? Your dog has options. We
Right.
have dogs that need us that can
Yeah.
only come here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to provide exception here because then
Sure.
it throws off
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, daycare for these guys, not a problem.
Okay.
With the training stuff, we reinforce anything that the owner has learned. Like, so
Yeah.
the dog you just saw was leash reactive.
Yeah.
She lunges towards people and dogs.
Uh,
I don't know if you were watching, but like the owners are really nervous,
mm,
right? So every time people walk by, they were like,
Yeah.
right? So I'm helping them like, no, like you don't need to do that. Your dog is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Right? But if their dog came to daycare or whatever and like barked at the dog, we would correct it
Yeah.
just the same way I teach the owner.
I see.
So it helps just keep consistency across the board.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
In terms of what I would suggest for the fights, okay, is we do have to review a little bit of remote collar stuff.
Yeah.
Because you said there's leash reactivity as well, correct?
Yes. So there's leash reactivity with other dogs.
Okay.
When we first moved, and I think, you know, all the move was unsettling and all of that, Butter was a little reactive to people, but she's fine now.
Okay.
But like we would be walking and like somebody would approach us and she would start barking at people.
Okay. Yeah.
But now she's fine, and you know, you saw her how she just met you and she's not barking at you or anything.
But so when you said she's apprehensive, right? Because when I went to reach her,
Oh yeah, she
right?
pulled back. Yeah, yeah.
That's the cause for the reactivity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, is that insecurity?
Yeah.
So the you know, Cesar says this where he goes, you know, the reactivity isn't the problem.
Yeah.
It's the symptom of a problem, right? So that apprehension, that insecurity, is what's fueling that reactivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that we have to do is review heal. That's
Okay.
one going to fix the reactivity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it also we get to start to figure out with the new system what levels do your dogs need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's say most dogs fall between 25 to 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every now and then we get an outlier, like that dog that was just here as an outlier. Her number at the end was like 70. Yep.
No.
So pull up
No.
here.
No.
So pull up.
Up.
Just pull up. Yep. Now relax. Good. Yep. Now relax. Good. Good. And then just relax. Okay. Now a little bit up. Yep. Now relax. Good. Okay. Relax. Good. A little bit up on Peanut here. A little bit more up. Now relax. Good. Okay. So you can still see where they're attentive. And now relax. Good. Right? But you're little by little de-escalating them.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a Band-Aid.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're going, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the Cesar thing.
Yeah.
But when you pull back, you actually tell a dog to
Go forward.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I said go up.
I see.
Right? Up. Yep. And now relax. There you go. So when you go up is unnatural for a dog. Right? Dogs go forward, back, left, right.
Okay.
They don't go up.
Right.
Unless they're jumping, they don't go up.
Yeah.
So when you do that, that's one thing. They go.
What's
right?
happening? Yeah.
And the other thing is you start to put pressure here.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they go and you go like this, they have a harder time doing because they do this, right? They push with the back legs, they pull with the front legs. So when you do this,
Yeah, and
now
it's
they
hard
don't
to
have it.
bark too. Like
Yes.
can't bark.
so then the moment you feel a little bit of relaxation, I relax
Okay.
to let them know that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Right. So, and then you go up again, and then you relax. They bark.
Yeah.
I go up again. I
Yeah.
relax, and eventually they go. All right. Every time I bark, that happens.
Okay.
But I stop barking, it disappears.
Yeah.
Right? This is a Band-Aid fix.
Okay.
One
Okay.
thing we do want to be mindful of, again, but small dog, is just the trachea.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very common with Yorkies
Yeah.
with the collapsed trachea or whatever.
Okay.
Right? So here, you don't have to go to the point where you lift them,
Sure.
but just enough where they feel it.
Okay.
Now, if you have to go up more,
Mhm.
then you can.
Yeah.
You just want to be mindful. It's usually with collapsed trachea stuff, it's the dog putting too much pulling pressure. Right?
Yeah.
And it's constant that causes that to happen, where this is just momentary.
Okay. Okay.
But again, I was like, the difficulty here is
Yeah.
the age and size.
Yes.
Everything else
Yeah.
is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So,
And you saw there, Butter started, and then Peanut followed because she's secure. So she's not bothered about that dog. But then if this one gets wound up, she's like, okay,
sure.
I guess we're going after him.
Yeah.
So,
So that would be easy with the remote collar.
okay.
I'm not really worried about the reactivity stuff.
Yeah.
So heals typically 2 classes. There's the first class where we teach the foundation.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you your homework. You
Okay.
come back class 2. You
Okay.
give me feedback.
Sure.
Oh, Jesse, the girls are 60% better, 90% better,
Sure.
10% better, right?
Okay.
And I go, okay, that tells me what I need to do today, right?
Yeah.
I have class 2. We make some adjustments. We work on the second part of heal. You go off. You do your homework.
Okay.
I don't think the reactivity is going to take very much.
Okay.
Once you understand the settings and everything, and you have the appropriate level,
sure,
it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay.
The part where we're going to struggle is the fights inside the home.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is not because of your case. Fights inside the home are harder because in order to, like, for me to have a quiet kennel, it has to be very structured, right? We get dogs that are human aggressive. We get dogs that are dog aggressive. We get dogs that are both. And they all have to coexist peacefully.
Yeah.
So it has to be very strict.
Okay.
So I tell my clients, when we start to get dogs that are fighting within the home, you have to have it very strict, right? You're not going to go back to what it was before.
Yeah.
That's what usually people want.
Yeah.
They want to go back
I heard
to
you
what it
say
was
that,
before.
and that's what I'm.
They go, nope. I go,
I'm internalizing that.
yes. I was like, once it's happened, you're already there. It's what we would call like unresolved tension. Yeah. Right? So that's why earlier when I mentioned about walking into a home where one dog killed another dog, right? Is the dog was like, yeah, I'm just going to take care of this today. Okay. Yeah. So I would suggest, even though they're you found the workaround with like the separate kennel, I do suggest a separate kennel. Okay. Right? So, because I know you mentioned like when you're gone, they're coexisting peacefully. Yeah. It's not to say it never won't happen. Yeah, sure. You know, so once we're here, I tend to err on the side of caution. Sure. Because I've had it happen where owners are like, so I did a consult yesterday. The dog used to be leash reactive, never reactive in the home. And then one day the dog started becoming territorial over the home and he started biting people entering the home. Okay? Oh, wow. And then recently, I think like a week or 2 ago, which is why they met with me. Yeah. Somebody was hugging the owner goodbye, and the dog jumped up, bit them on the hand. Okay. Never did that before. Yeah. So they go, it was unpredictable, and I go, technically it was predictable because your dog went from being territorial outside. Yeah. To territorial outside and territorial inside. Yeah. To territorial in your personal space. Sure. Like that was the escalation of the behavior. Yeah. But they didn't see it that way. But once I explained it to them, they go, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Where it's getting, like you said earlier, it was just a few fights here and there. Yeah. And then you had 6 fights in a day. That escalation. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of control. Teaching you how to correct them correctly using Cesar Milan methodology. Like there's going to be value for you there. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just constant structure and direction. Okay. Once you get used to it, it's just you just do it. Yeah. Like in the beginning, it's work. Yeah. Right. Like right now, you're like I have to be aware of all these things, right? Yeah. Yeah. And that's just a part of having. Yeah. It's like, you know, my wife and I are expecting our first child. Congratulations. Thank you. She's due in July. Okay. And I know at some point you have to be just aware of the kid. Yeah. 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 Right. When they're in the 2 to 3 year olds and they're like exploring. I remember growing up, my mom was like, "Where are your brothers?" Because it was quiet. Because they're always loud. And they're drawing in the wall in the hallway with the crayons, right? Yeah. So it's like you have to be aware. Yeah. So, and it's just once you're a parent, that's just what that is, right? Yeah. So same thing for the dogs. Yeah. Okay. Once we start to get these things, these inward fights, I go, you have to be aware. Right. Okay? Right. But so like when I used to board dogs out of my home, because I would get dogs that were dog aggressive. Yeah. Let's say I was doing work on my computer, and I would see a dog sleeping here, and the water bowl was there, and I would see another dog walking to the water bowl, and I knew this dog doesn't like dogs, so I would look. I would be aware. So I go, this is maybe where something could happen. Right. Right. Yeah. And then the dog goes and drinks water, and I see the other dog, and the dog doesn't even care. Yeah. And then they walk away. I go, okay, cool. Yeah. That they're in this environment, they're okay. Yeah. But I always had the awareness to double check. Yeah. Right. So I don't want you to be paranoid, but you do have to be like aware, because usually that complacency, oh, things are so much better now. Right. 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 Yeah. That's how I am now, and I went from being like too afraid that I was sending the wrong energy, and I think they were fighting more because I was so paranoid. I'm like, they're gonna fight for everything. I think I was feeling that. Now I'm calm, but like you say, I'm keeping an eye. Like somebody's moving, where are you going? Yeah. What's the other dog doing? So there's what we call being proactive. Yeah. So like let's say Butter is in her bed. Okay? Yeah. Peanut starts to walk towards Butter. Yeah. And you go, I already know this is where Butter has a problem, right? Yeah. Can you correct Butter? Absolutely. Right? Yeah. Your sister's going to walk to her bed and you're not going to growl. Yeah. That is one approach. Okay. And the other approach is like, you know what? I'm just going to correct Peanut, and redirect Peanut to do something else, so that Butter doesn't feel like she always has to how would you say, tolerate. Like it's a balance.
Yeah.
Like if you always force the situation and you always make one dog tolerate,
Right.
that's actually where you start to get issue.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you start to make it more balanced, and then she's like, okay, sometimes I have to tolerate it, and then sometimes like Peanut will go the different way.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I have to protect my bed.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I try to give a balance because have you heard of suppression? Like
No.
suppression is where you make the dog, you put them under the stressor or whatever, and you just make them
No.
accept it. You don't give them another up, and then relax a little bit. Good. Up. Yep. And then relax. Yep. Here, I'm gonna take Butter here too.
No, leave it.
There. Okay.
And she gets the hair raised up in the back. And...
A little feisty Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. There we go. So that was Cesar Milan.
Yeah.
Right? You saw how he touched?
Yeah.
And then right away she stopped.
Yeah.
And then she tried one more time.
Yeah.
I did it again. And then she's like, okay, you're a bigger problem. Right? And then now I have her more in my space, and the last one was a little pop.
Yeah, she's looking at me like, save me. I'm like, I don't know.
So, yeah, I know all that stuff.
Okay.
It's just a matter of knowing how to do it correctly.
No. Sit. Sit.
Because if you always use the collar to correct the dogs, the problem is when you don't have the collar on, they're gonna misbehave.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a balance of knowing how to do both.
Okay.
And the thing about Cesar Milan methodology is that the dogs are respecting you, not the tool.
Okay.
So like you said, like you're to a degree the problem because the fights happen around you.
Yeah.
Right. But then when they realize like mom is gonna step in and correct us, and she's gonna make us stop.
Yeah.
The problems start to go away.
Right.
Because they know you're gonna just handle it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how I run a quiet kennel. The dogs are, Eric, Jesse's here, like, we don't bark.
And I think that's how we decrease the frequency because I started addressing it, but they're still on edge.
Yes. Because you're not, like when you mentioned about Peanut pacing or whatever, right? And you said, well, it's because I have to do this one. And I said, you have to follow through afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So like, again, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
But you're not fully resolving everything.
Sure.
Which is why it's staying consistent or escalating.
Yeah.
Right? Everything when done correctly should decrease over the course of time.
Yeah.
So like my dogs, right? Like I said, Luna and Lexi, they don't like each other. My wife's mom, Joni, will sometimes watch Poncho, who's my Chihuahua, and then Luna because they get along no problem.
Okay.
But she wants to watch all of them. And I said, no. I was like, you'll never watch all of them because I know for a fact you will have a dog fight.
Yeah.
Right? She doesn't have the energy or the assertiveness to control two large, powerful dogs.
Yeah.
So that's just reality, right?
Yeah.
And I also know that she's not going to learn how to do it because she's too soft of a personality.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Here, I can see the assertiveness that you have.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So because I get clients that they want to fix the problem, but they're super soft.
Yeah,
and I go, you can't be soft and have fix the problem. You're not having to be mean. I'm not being mean to Butter.
No.
But I'm just coming and going, that's not going to happen here, right?
Yeah.
And you can see, so
you
see how she's getting kind of concerned with me?
Yeah.
She's kind of worried, right? Because since I've already asserted myself, she's like, okay, like, I'm insecure of you now because you're too much assertive.
Yeah.
And I go, well, too bad. If you weren't being reactive, I wouldn't have to have the leash right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and all this, like if I were to have, Butter for longer, like as my dog, it goes away.
Yeah.
Because then she learns, like, oh, you're not an asshole.
Right.
Right. But if I get out of line, you'll correct me.
Yeah.
But if I don't got a line, everything's fine.
Yeah. And I can relax.
And I can relax.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't have to worry about consequences.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how all that stuff works.
Yeah.
So the first two classes, we'd have to review e-collar stuff. It'd probably be about 2, maybe 3-ish classes.
Okay.
And then it would be, how do we correct the dogs correctly inside the home? How do we break up a fight correctly inside the home? And then there's going to be a little bit of avoidance stuff. Okay, avoidance stuff would be, you have your crate, you have your crate, right? Feedings, I feed you in your crate, I feed you in your crate, crate, right?
Yeah. Oh, I've been feeding them separate rooms since they had that fight at the daycare 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So now they're fed separate.
Sure.
And
so then it's like, oh, I want to give you a bully stick. You're in your bed over there. You're in your bed over there. Right? Space.
Yeah.
So avoidance is good just because, you know, you want to be able to do things and not have to worry so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, all right, technically there's been no fights in the kennels, right?
Right.
Or as long as you do peanut first then butter, right? Like you've learned that, but it doesn't mean it never will happen.
Sure. Yeah.
The only guarantee would be you're crated in your own crate, you're crated in your own crate, and I know for a fact you're not going to get to each other.
Right.
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 So stuff like that.
Okay.
I would probably put you at, because that's all you care about, correct?
Yeah.
It's just like reactivity and in-home stuff.
And the home, yeah.
I would say probably 6 classes.
Okay.
Okay. So it'd be 2 to 3 on the e-collar stuff to review things that has to happen for the leash reactivity.
Okay.
And in case we need to do e-collar inside the home, we'll have already done that.
Okay.
And then the other classes would be bringing structure into the home, how to correct them correctly, like the Cesar Milan stuff like I just did right here, how to follow through.
Okay.
And then just general things that you can change to help just mitigate any potential opportunity for there to be a fight.
Okay. Okay.
Are you in the city?
Yes. Yes. I'm in Ravenswood.
You're in Ravenswood. Oh, you're all the way from Ravenswood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from my place to your daycare is a hike, but I work downtown and I only need daycare twice a week is when I work downtown.
Sure.
I work at home the rest of the time and I keep them with me during those
Sure.
times. So I would have to like drive, drop them off and drive to the loop. So not a big deal.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of like for the training, for the heel stuff, it can be done here at the park. So I normally am over there.
Sure.
But today I had a couple of clients that they were early in the training, so to make it easier, it's usually less busy here.
Okay.
And then typically I'm back where those benches are. Okay.
Okay.
So if you come here and you can't find me, just look for that spot. Otherwise, I might have ran to the bathroom or something.
Sure. Sure.
The other
how
three,
she's much calmer.
now that she's
sit
addressed,
down, but she sit down. She's like watching people.
The other 3, like for the fighting and stuff, those that would be done in the home.
Okay, that's fine.
Now, when we meet here at the park, no charge or whatever. When we do in-homes, because I have to leave here to go there, or go a different time, there's a $50 upcharge per class.
Per class, okay.
Just heads up, okay?
Okay, yeah.
So, when we're doing 2 dogs, I'm trying to think what would be easiest for you. Is in the beginning, you're having to do one then the other. Like, so you can train both dogs in one program. You don't need 2 separate programs.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one way to do it would be you can extend the class by half an hour. So we have 45 minutes to train this dog.
Yeah.
45 minutes to train this dog.
Yeah.
You could also do the first class with Butter.
Yeah.
Okay, since she's the instigator.
Yeah.
The second class would be with Peanut. The third class, you could then work them together. We don't need the extra half an hour extension.
I see.
Okay.
I see.
I think you would be fine with either or.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to you. For the half-hour extension, it's $100.
Okay.
So, which is cheaper than trying to pay like for a whole separate program, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I leave it up to you. Because half an hour per dog isn't enough. After the first, if you're doing the extension, after the first 2 classes, almost always we don't need the extra half an hour.
Okay.
It's usually just the first 2 classes.
So how long is a normal class? 1 hour? Okay.
Yes, and it's just me and you.
Okay.
There's no other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, if you decide you want to do one and then the other, class 1, class 2, that's perfectly fine. If you decide no, I want to do them both at the same time, you just do the half an hour extension.
Yeah.
And then we start with 45 minutes, then we swap, do the other 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Go off, do her homework for a week.
Okay.
You could even do 1.
I think that I'm gonna try that.
And then apply what you learned.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I've had other clients do that.
Yeah.
And then if you're feeling pretty good, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna come back and bring the both, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. It all just comes down to how, because they've also had previous training.
Yeah.
Which makes things a little bit simpler.
Yeah.
Because there's already a foundation there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I would say those are your options.
Sure.
But I would definitely start with this one first because she's she's the agitator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And with the collar, like before they started fighting, like escalating the last 2 months, they had not been wearing the collars consistently for a long time.
Sure.
Like it's been like, I don't know, in the last year, they only wear it like here and there. Like if I'm in a park and I want them off leash playing a little bit, I may put the collar on. Or if they were doing things at home for a little bit, I would put the collar on. But like I think they lost, she's more obedient to the collar. Peanut, sometimes I do just a regular sit and I push the button and then she knows I'm telling her something is wrong, but then she starts like walking around like, what's going on? Why is she zapping me? What am I doing wrong? And I keep repeating sit and she knows the sit command.
Sure.
But like so I think she lost a little bit the connection of the collar with the command. So I have to like retrain that a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should be able to do that. It's not difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
It's simple.
Okay.
Again, they already have it there. I think it's just reconditioning.
Yeah.
I have another client right now. It's 2 dogs too. They're doing a board and train. They were also trained by Sit Mean Sit.
Okay.
But nothing ever got better. So
see.
now I'm having to retrain
see.
them.
Yeah.
I've trained a lot of their dogs.
Okay.
I think it's a different ownership now.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
It's like I think it used to be a woman and now it's like 2 guys or something.
Well, I'm with the previous, before the woman, it was a couple.
Oh.
So long time ago, 13 years ago, it was a couple. They moved to Florida now. Then a woman. But yeah, we did it with that couple. That woman, I knew about her with emails and things, but we never actually met her. I think I may have bought a replacement collars from her.
I see, sure.
And then, yeah, I follow them on social media and I see it's a completely different group of people. I haven't even been in touch with them. These collars I bought maybe a year or 2 ago. And I just went with the brand. They're not even branded Sin Meat Sync.
Oh, yeah,
I just look for Sport Dog collar.
Because a Sport Dog, I think, makes their collars.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and and you'll tell me prices of collars and all of that. You can email me about it. So
because there's a 2-dog system, like we have it. I know the single dog system is like $237-ish.
Okay.
And I think the 2-dog system is like $319-ish with tax.
Okay.
They last a really long time.
Yeah.
Is this your second system?
Yes.
Yeah, so you had it for like almost 10 years, if not more.
Yeah.
So same thing with ours. They last a really long time, except you're not going to have only low-high. You're going to have 0 to 127. Very fluent.
Yeah.
Tina will send you the link.
Yeah.
We carry them. You can also get them online.
Okay.
I don't care where you get them from. I just care that you do get the correct collar.
Sure.
But she'll send you the make and model and the link as well.
Sure.
And then I'd recommend 6 classes. I don't, just because all you're wanting is like the leash reactivity, maybe a little bit of review for some sits or whatever, obedience. But mainly the fight stuff.
Yes.
You're welcome to do more.
Yeah.
What you could do is if you did more just in case, because it is cheaper per class, the longer the program.
I see.
Is sometimes clients will do a longer program and then once they get to a point where like, oh, like everything is good and we're happy, they might keep a class just in case, but then they'll turn the rest into credit.
I see.
And they can use it towards daycare or boarding.
Oh, okay.
Like I have a client that he bought 12.
Yeah.
And then I told him saying, I was like, if you want, because he comes to us already.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, I don't know how long this is going to take. What do you think? I'm like, I think maybe 6 to 9. But then I told him the same thing. I was like, you could do more just in case.
Yeah.
And then once you get to a point where it's like, okay, I feel happy, I don't need this. Then you can just convert it to credit. Yeah. And then we just put it towards a boarding invoice or whatever. It's not a problem. So you don't ever lose the value of what you've invested. Okay.
And how much is the 6 classes?
I think 6 classes off the top of my head is around $1,500-ish. Okay. It's on my website.
Okay.
I've Tina knows all these things.
Yeah, sure,
okay?
sure.
But everything is on my website.
Yeah.
We film the classes.
Yeah.
So then afterwards, I can send you the link so you can review them. The ones I typically don't film are the in-homes, just because of privacy of your own home or whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes clients will request, like, can you please record it? Because I still want to have it as a reference.
Of course.
Because I have a client or a few clients that it's a couple.
Yeah.
And one person can't make it.
Yeah.
But it's okay because I just send them the video and they can still watch it later.
Okay.
And they have it forever as a reference. So if you forgot anything, you can still go back to your video.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. That's great.
So I've seen this before. I've done this before.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's really just the age and size that we have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll make progress.
Yeah, and I have to be consistent at home. I think,
you are the biggest part of the training.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I am.
So I can get them to stop. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to to be confident and do
Yeah.
what you need to do to stop the fight, right?
Right.
And then get them to learn, like, stop this fight
Yeah.
and don't fight again,
Right.
right? That's what
Right.
you're trying to get is don't
Yeah.
fight again. It's like earlier
Exactly.
you mentioned, like, they'll stop.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it's like
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you to the point where it's like there is not another one.
Right.
Maybe it's one in the year as
Yeah.
opposed to 6 in a
Sure.
day.
Sure.
Like that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Other questions?
So for the avoidance, so I get the other crate,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I also need to, like, when we are in the car, maybe keep one dog in the front and one
Yes,
in
yes,
the
that's
back.
correct.
Because,
Right.
yeah, because
So,
I get anxious about, well, if they start fighting, I'm in the middle of
yeah,
traffic.
you're driving.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna do? I just have to
100%.
let them kill themselves because,
No.
yeah,
So, but knowing that,
yeah,
you can already start. Like that's good. Like you remember that. You go, okay. Well, if we're doing more avoidance now, then in the car,
yeah,
I'll keep one dog in the front, one dog in the
Yeah.
back. Because really, what's the value of having them in the back?
yeah,
If you're going to be
No.
worrying about, like, what if there's a fight right now and
No.
I'm driving and
Yeah.
they can't stop the car,
Right,
right? If
right.
anything, it puts you under more stress.
yeah,
But if you just do that, like, all right, cool, I avoid the problem and I'm not
Yeah.
stressed out.
Yeah.
I just focus on driving.
yeah, okay,
Some answers are just simpler
yeah,
than
Yeah.
trying to. That's what I mean, like trying to always make it like the way you want it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it's more
Yeah.
stressful than
Sure.
just the easier answer, like
sure,
of avoidance.
yeah.
Okay.
And then the beds, I should, like, keep them a little farther
I
apart.
might experiment with some space.
Yeah, okay,
You know, stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Because if the beds are next to each other and then she's in the bed first and then Peanut tries to go to the bed and then she starts growling, right? It's like a similar thing. It's like,
Yeah.
all right,
yeah,
if I already know she's gonna have a problem with it and I space them out and like
Yeah.
she's not growling
right,
and like you've eliminated or removed the likelihood of another
Yeah.
incident of a fight, right?
Yeah.
So you're really kind of minimizing where the fights are happening
yeah,
and then you're gonna have leftovers.
Yeah.
And like that's what we're dealing with.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah. The peculiar thing about the beds is that I can separate them, and they may first relax each one in a bed, but then Butter seeks to lay with Peanut.
Mhm.
Peanut is more independent because she's pretty
Mhm.
sure of herself. Butter likes to, like, cuddle up with Peanut.
Mhm.
So after they've been growling and all of that, I separate the beds,
Mhm.
and she comes, lays with Peanut.
Mhm.
It may go perfect because Peanut is like, okay, you can come in here. Or then Butter gets in the bed with her, and then Butter starts growling at her.
Yeah. So what do you think we would do there?
I need to correct Butter.
Yes. But correct her when she's deciding to go cuddle with Peanut because you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen after.
So don't let her cuddle with Peanut. Oh,
Like, so,
okay.
because,
yeah,
like you said, I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe it's going to be a cuddle session and maybe she's going to be a jerk,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I go, all right, again, it's just, it's like, I don't know if there's going to be a fight. Now I'm anxious and worried that there's going to be a fight. Now
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So I go, the easiest approach is, all right, you know what? If you can't be consistent
yeah,
with just behaving yourself,
yeah.
that's no longer an option,
Uh-huh.
right? So like I'll get clients where the dog will sleep in the bed with the owners.
Yeah,
The husband will use the bathroom, and when they come back, the dog will be defensive
Mhm.
over the bed,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I'll tell them, then don't let the dog be in the bed,
right.
because that's the only way.
Yeah,
Like you can't have both,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then I get clients who are like, oh, but we like having the dog in the bed. I'm like, the dog's fucking growling at you, and they're like, but we like having him in the bed. I'm like, look, if you want to have the dog in the bed, that's fine. That's your house,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But you're gonna have to deal with that problem now.
right,
'Cause
right.
that's the reason why the dog is doing it.
Yeah.
Right? They're possessing the bed, and when you
Yeah.
leave, they're like, all right, this is my bed now.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So in my book, I go, then you're not allowed in the bed.
right,
Okay?
right.
So
Yeah.
there's certain things like that that we'll just have to start correcting
Yeah,
because you don't know
yeah.
how
Okay,
it's going to turn out,
okay,
unfortunately.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Perfect.
Other questions?
No, I think that's it for now.
So I'll give you Miss
yeah.
Butter here.
Yes, thank you.
Um,
Uh-huh, uh-huh. You got
yeah, so you can email
corrected.
Tina. And then